the book better. Hi, I'm USA Today best-selling author Olivia Gaines. We're here at the Augusta-Richmond County Public Library System, and we're talking about Lovecraft Country, Episode 5. I know you saw it. You have questions. So do we. So we're going to break it down for you. I'm here today with my library pals.
Ooh. I'm Georgina Lewis, your favorite librarian in training.
Hello, I'm Leah Holloway, and I'm the Public Relations Assistant here at the Augusta-Richmond County Public Library.
We're going to bring you three different perspectives on this episode. Georgina is the viewer. Leah has read the book. And I'm going to talk about this episode from the storyteller's perspective. So let's crack open the book and come out of the closet. So let's get at it. I want to start with Montrose.
Okay.
Let's just start with Montrose. There is so much going on with him. I thought the whole scene with him in the club, that it was a beautiful evolution for him in that moment. But there's something else going on with him. What do you guys think?
I agree. I think that there might be some other motive that Montrose has going on. You know, when you come into the beginning of the episode, you know, it's just right after he's taken the life of Yahima, and you know, we're just kind of wondering, you know, what's going on. And you know, we know that he's been teaching himself magic, and it's just like, well, you know, like what, there's all kinds of secrets that you've been hiding from Tig,
Right.
And you know, Letitia, you know, I think of the episode before, she said, you know, you're just gonna send him on like a dog chase and you have all the answers like right in front of him.
Right.
So it's just interesting. I'm not trusting Montrose right now, so
I
I'm
don't
waiting.
think anybody does.
Yeah, I'm just waiting to see, because I thought it was too good to be true when he told his son that he did a good job and he was proud of him.
I think that was genuine, because Tig didn't show any fear, and for a father, and as hard as he was on Tig growing up, I could see that being some truth. But like you, I don't trust him. Georgina, what do you think?
Okay, so I think in the episode where you have this beautiful moment of Montrose, and it's him and it's free in the club and everything is just like stars and glitter, and I would have to say as a viewer, I was distracted. It was just like this beautiful moment, and you're like, yay, more fuzzy feelings. And then I'm sitting here listening to you like, he did just kill somebody in the last episode. He really did that. Like, he really did do that. And it was a good distraction. I think it was a clever distraction, because I completely forgot about it for a moment. You kind of forget of who this character has been up until that moment. So, yeah.
And I just wanted to also say, you know, from the reader's point of view, in the book, that doesn't happen. And
Really?
Yes. And also there's no, you know, him freeing himself, being free with Sammy, that also is not in the book either. But I do think that it's important that the creator, Misha Green, adds things like this, because, you know, it represents people in our society today. You know, it gives them a voice, it gives them representation. So I think that that is important in TV and film today. So.
From a storytelling perspective, when the series starts, you have Sammy in the alley, and is his name Tree Legs? Is that his name?
The guy who works at the front.
The guy who's at the front, they call him Tree.
Tree. Okay.
Yeah.
You just mentioned his leg.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you just mentioned that.
So that guy, he's kind of sprinkling this fairy dust through there all along, letting us know that this moment is going to come.
Okay.
And when it does come, it is a little bit overwhelming, because it's that visual that kind of jolts you from the story. Because as a storyteller, when people are reading, you want them to keep their eyes on the page and not realize that they're actually reading. But when you see it, you're jolted. You just kind of, what just in the loogie happened? You know, and it's just so aggressive and just so in your face.
Right.
But there's a couple of things in this episode that's really in your face. Ruby.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Ruby.
I'll go first on that one. With Ruby, so Ruby's whole thing is that Ruby gets interrupted. You know, those are the exact words that Ruby uses. Ruby talks about that, you know, she just feels like things in life keep interrupting her and she would like to do things uninterrupted. And then William offers her that chance to live life uninterrupted. And I think her approach to that was really interesting for me. First thing is she goes and gets a job at the very place that she wanted to get a job at, but she does this in her new skin. And I'm just thinking to myself, had it been me, might not have done that.
I know I wouldn't have went and got a job. I had this opportunity to really experience the grass on the other side. And you use this power and you go and get a job.
Yeah, it was weird, but I think that also Ruby found out some very valuable, the grass is definitely not greener on the other side of things, because at the end of the day, she still became a white woman during that time period. And we can already tell from that time period, like, women aren't very high on the totem pole at all. So did they mention anything about that in the book, or how is that done?
So it's really interesting how they portray Ruby's character in the show. In the show, she's a very strong, outgoing individual. She sings, she plays the guitar. She was not like that in the book. In the book, Ruby is an introvert. She actually is not outgoing at all. She likes to stay to her regular schedule. She has usually multiple jobs actually. One of the main ones, she was a caterer. And the way I would describe her in the book, she might be a little bit of a pushover. A lot of people take advantage of her because of her kindness.
Really?
Yes, and what's interesting is it pretty much plays out the same in the book, except the person she ends up running into is not William, it's actually Caleb Braithwhite, which in the show they turn Caleb into Christina. So Caleb is the one that gives her the power to change into a white woman. And the way that her experience in the show is, you know, it's kind of like she tries to describe all of the struggles that Black people go through. And in the book, she actually enjoys being a white woman.
Really?
She really likes it. And, you know, in the show, she sees the ugly side of it, though. She sees the ugly side of things because she sees from...
So in the book, was the shoe even part? So all of that's just fabricated.
That's all added for, that's all Misha Green's image. So this is all in her image. This is all in her view.
Visually?
Yes.
It was...
It was a lot.
It was intense.
It was really intense. Like, at first, I didn't know where she was going with it. And I was like, well, what is she going to do? And then...
And even when she got there, you're like, really, sis? Why?
Yes, it's very intense. Again, she's very strong and she doesn't take any mess from anybody in the show. In the book, she's very different. And yeah, that doesn't happen in the book. I will
say that I feel like a little bit of that old Ruby that you're talking about is alluded a bit between Letty and Tick when Letty is talking to Tick. She mentions at that moment, she talks about, she says, she didn't feel like love was special. Her mother fell into it every 2 seconds, right? And she said Ruby was the same. So that lets us know that at some point in time, they haven't addressed it yet. We have to keep watching for that to happen. That she's really soft-hearted. You know that she has had times where she's really let people push her over. I mean, even look at her sister. She sends her sister money. Every time her sister comes to town, she's letting her stay with her. Even when she seems more reluctant to things, you can tell Ruby is just this really kind-hearted. She cares for people. Lady came in on the first episode, and she just like, you thinking to herself, she's not gonna let this girl stay at her house. And what she do? Well, this is where I am now, and if you're gonna stay for 2 nights. And just like, you knew she was gonna let it stay as long as she needs to.
It's still her sister. It's still the baby sister, and the baby sister always gets away with a lot of stuff. And I'm number 6, so I'm the baby sister. And you get away with things and that you normally wouldn't. I'm at a loss because I just sat there most of the episode, just kind of Because there were so many things happening, and even with Letty in the tub in the Bible, and you know that there's this great backstory with her mother, based on how she looks and the way that Ruby looks. You know there's this backstory with her mother, and there is some connection between Letty and the Braithwhites, right? Am I saying that right?
I think so.
Okay. You got that look on your face.
I wanted to hear the connection.
We
See
don't
if I came up with the connection.
Yeah, you were saying that there was a connection between Letty and the Braithwhites.
I think there is. You know that Letty's father is white, but we haven't seen any images of her mother, so we don't know if her mother is very fair as well. And Ruby's father may be the one that's dark, so you really don't know. But I'm thinking that there's a connection between the Braithwhites because Christina helped Letty buy the house, and she wanted her in that house. I know she's looking for what's the thing called with the moons and the stars on it. That
and I think it's the Orrery. It's like it's Orrey.
the Orrery.
The Orrery, is
The
that
Orrery.
what it is? Yeah.
Orrery.
Yeah, because she mentioned it. It's the, for those of you who are trying to place what it is the mechanical solar system that pops up, not in episode 5, I think it's like the episode before, that it pops up that Christina's looking for.
Okay.
I'll have you. But that's the thing she's looking for. She can't give, I don't want to go back too much.
But I'm also reading Leah's face, which is telling me that I am onto something with the connection between and the Braithwaites. She can't say anything because we don't do spoilers here.
All I will say is it just seems like there's a lot of different things happening in the show than in the book. So I am just, keeping an open mindset on what's going to happen because we just never know. So yeah.
I will ask a question as a viewer. Is that how much is the same? Well, how much seems the same? We're doing episode 5, but as a thread, how much does seem the same from the book so far?
Overall, the storyline is for the most part, it's for the most part the same.
Okay.
The only difference is some characters, some names, just certain situations that have happened, like the department store, the club. Like there are just certain different things that are happening, but for the most part, everything that's happening and falling into place, it pretty much goes along with the book. But the way the book is set up, the book almost reminds me of an anthology. Okay. So everything, all of the stories that are happening are being merged together in the show, but in the book, they're all separate. So
it's written as Lovecraft, H.P. Lovecraft. If you guys are familiar with H.P. Lovecraft, he wrote Reanimator, and I can't pronounce it, Cthulhu, Chcthulu, and in his short stories.
I thought it was called like
Cthulhu.
Cthulhu. Thank you.
I think that's how.
Yeah, Cthulhu. I just heard it this weekend.
Okay, because in his books and in his short stories, he writes them as separate little entries and separate little anthologies. And they're all kind of compiled. And whenever you find Lovecraft books, they're always a compilation. And we do have some in the Pine system, and there are 1 or 2 on the shelves downstairs. So if you're looking to check them out, make sure you come by, call, let us know. We'll bring it out to your car if you don't want to come in. But we do have Lovecraft books. There's one here, his autobiography, as well as we have some of these as well in circulation. They're hard to get, but get your name on the list.
I would say, just for a little bit of clarity, since we have the reader here and our storyteller, what is the story exactly? Because some of you, if you're viewing, you might just be watching by the seat of your pants. It's so much going on that sometimes it's hard to see, like, what is the actual storyline. So maybe y'all can talk a little bit about that.
Leah, you want to go first?
Yeah. So the story is about a man named Atticus, and he has returned from the war. It's the 1950s, so they're in Jim Crow era Chicago. And Atticus has come from Florida because his father is gone missing. So Atticus meets up with his uncle George, and they decide to take one of his old school friends, Letitia, and they are going to go and look for his father. So that's how the book starts off, but there are some different side stories that it goes into, so you should definitely check out the book because I don't want to give away too much. It's a pretty good read. The first chapter is very long. It's about 107 pages, so be patient with it, but it definitely doesn't disappoint. So
from a storytelling perspective, it's the basic hero's journey, and Atticus is the hero. And he is coming into this power that he doesn't know what the power is. He just knows that there's something here, there's this ring, and you've seen glimpses of it in several of the episodes. When he put the ring on and he was able to open the gate or the door in episode 4. In episode 3, where he sees his grandmother and she's telling him how to shut down everything. And he's also struggling to understand what love is, and Letitia is there to kind of help guide him and keep him grounded. So you have all those basic storytelling elements in there as to how this character is going to grow and how he's going to evolve. We don't know if he's going to evolve into a good guy or a bad guy.
Yeah, I feel like, especially after watching episode 5, where he does get justifiably so woefully upset at Montrose, and at the beginning, and then even the moment when he's talking to Letty and just how like frantic and desperate he was, and it's kind of like, should y'all really be messing with this stuff? I was with Letty.
Right.
I was just like,
that's my Bible.
Right. I was just like, this don't seem like something you should even go trading in, but like, what do? This is this man's birthright, essentially. They have told him that this is something that you're owed, essentially. And thinking about the time period and thinking about who he is, wouldn't you want to go after something that's supposed to be yours? So it's going to be interesting, I think, because I'm holding myself to not read the book until the entire series is out.
That's where I am too.
Because I really want to explore all the things that you're talking about. Like, for a lot of y'all and me, you're like, that one in the book? Well, what is in the book? At least that's the type of curiosity that's piqued for me. But I think I'll be able to really appreciate what's done when that happens. So yeah, I like that.
I think, now if you guys are, watching along with this and you have questions, make sure you drop the comments in the comment section at the bottom. So next week when we come back and we talk about episode 6, we can answer your questions, as well as we have the reader here. If there are things that she can discuss that won't be giving away too much, we'll have an opportunity to discuss that as well.
Yes, pick the brain of the reader, because I'm right along with y'all. I am watching.
I was just, my anxiety had gotten so high, I was sitting on the edge of my seat. And I was telling Georgina earlier that, I was working in the closet and I was putting some things away and I forgot to check it and the cat got in the closet. So when I went to bed and I'm laying down all calm, all of a sudden I hear, and then the closet door starts rattling, and I was halfway out the front door when my husband caught me. All I could think about was that man in the closet. Why was that man in the closet? He was hanging in the closet like he was a suit. What was going on with that? Is that in the book?
That's not in the book.
Misha Green,
There's so much going on, Misha Green. Thank you for all these different stories that you're bringing onto the show. They're keeping me very entertained.
The whole body thing, that up here was Caucasian and down here wasn't, and I'm like, is he hairy? What is going on there? Is he hairy? And I'm like, no, that's the torso is.
It's like, was he black before and like some things got replaced?
Ooh, that's an interesting question.
Like a get out kind of thing.
That's an interesting question, actually. What do you guys think? That's actually a good question. You guys should definitely answer that one. I definitely, while you're putting down your questions, definitely answer that question. Like,
because maybe he's taking the formula as well, and
that could be a thing.
Maybe there was like some negative effect
before they perfected the formula.
Yeah, maybe.
That's true. William did have a moment in which he basically said, and this is episode 5, that, you know, he didn't really start doing things. He had a vision to do things until he met Hiram. And remember, Hiram, you know, did do a lot of experimentations and different things like that. That's not a far shot to say that that's maybe an experiment.
Now, the experimentation is straight out of Lovecraft. That is total Reanimator. Total Reanimator. I saw Reanimator, I think, when I was in college, and I couldn't sleep for 3 days.
Oh, no.
It was just, yeah. I don't do well with horror movies. Scary stuff, as you can see. Because that Katniss, she was suspect for the rest of the night. Where is the cat?
I will say, though, I think that it seems like they're doing a very good job visually. Do you feel like for the book, he's able to, because Matt Ruff is the author of Lovecraft Country, just in case you didn't know. I feel like he probably did a really good job of capturing your attention, keeping you there, holding you there, and I believe that the same is trying to be done visually. Because for some people, words kind of allow you to like imagine your own things. You know, we've been talking about imagining, but just imagine your own kind of concepts of what's happening. You're putting faces and colors and different things like that to this. But the job of someone who's doing a TV show is to give you a visual.
Right.
So I feel like, yeah, it makes me really excited to read the book, because I'm like, if this is what was interpreted and put forth and twisted around, what is in that book?
Go ahead.
I feel like pretty much almost every character that is in the TV show looks exactly how I imagine them to look in the book.
Oh, me.
Which that's like really hard to do, and usually no one can do that, but Misha Green did a really good job of casting for that show. So I was actually like, okay, good job. Like, that's exactly how I would expect, since there's no Caleb but Christina's there, I'm like, that's how I would expect that person to look. I thought that William might have been Caleb but was undercover, but it turned out, you know, what happened after. So yeah, I was like, well, if he was Caleb, that's exactly how I would think Caleb would look, but some of the stuff he's doing is stuff Caleb did in the book. So I'm just like, okay, that's exactly how I would see him looking. Just everyone pretty much. Atticus, he was the nerdy boy, and then he's come all bulked up and stuff from the military. I'm like, yeah, that's how I would expect him to look. Letitia pretty much looks how they explain her in the book. Ruby looks like how they explain her in the book.
Okay.
The casting was great. The casting was really good.
Amazing.
Now, another thing that I'm seeing is that they're doing another aspect of storytelling of Black history. There's the image of the people standing in the chow line, waiting for the food with the Cadillac up against the painted on the wall. That is an image from the 40s and the 50s. And if you look at any of the Black history, you'll see with the people, you know, hanging in the chow line. Good times. Sorry. but there are images and pieces of African American history that are interlaced within the story as well. Now, I have one question before we start to wrap up. Nobody's noticed that the mom and the daughter hadn't made it back yet from Boston?
I did notice. I was wondering about Hippolyta.
Hippolyta, that's her name.
Yeah, Hippolyta and Dee.
Yeah, indeed. I've been wondering, and I was just kind of like, during the episode, I was just kind of waiting for them to pop back up. And they haven't popped back up.
Or somebody to notice they're missing?
Yeah, that too.
So, I don't want to give stuff away, but first off, Dee is actually a boy in the book. And his name is, Hippolyta and George have a son, and his name is Horace. But pretty much same, they're all into comic books, so like all the comic books and stuff that she makes, like that's all the same. But,
do we have the comic books on the shelf? Do we have the graphic novels on the shelf?
I don't know. We can find that out.
Something we should find out.
But I mean, I don't think I really give anything away. They do end up getting involved with Braithwhite and other people that are a part of the order. So I don't think that they're dying or anything anytime soon. They had their own chapters in the book.
Oh.
So kind of like how I said they're crunching everything together in all the episodes. I think that their stories that are in the book, I think they're about to start coming to light in future episodes. So
I like it.
I like it a
excited
lot.
for it. Nice.
Okay, I think that's gonna wrap up our discussion for episode 5. Do we have any last points that we wanna add in?
I'm good. I'm excited. See y'all
I'm
for
excited.
season 6. I guess see y'all for episode 6, I guess,
Yes.
at this point.
Now, don't forget, drop us comments in the comment section at the bottom. We will check it. And before we come back and talk about episode 6, we'll kind of run through your questions and we'll make sure that we address them. And thank you for joining us. Again, I am Olivia Gaines.
I'm Georgina Lewis.
and I'm Leah Holloway.
And thank you for joining us for Tea and TV.